I'm sorry, Captain. Mr. Smee ran us into another one of those tick-tocking clocks again, and this time it bit a hole in our starboard side. Unfortunately, our ship is wrecked, and we're sinking again. We're shipwrecked.
Oh no, Pirate Chris. I want you to get your bucket, get all this water off this deck.
Aye, Captain.
And while you're at it, swab the deck. She needs a good shining. And remember to protect us from Mr. Sparrow. He's always floating nearby, claiming that this ship is his. And remember, turn in your grades on time, be chipper for your office hours, be Google certified, create 5 Kahoots before supper time, and for heaven's sakes, don't forget to unmute your microphone.
Aye, Captain. Well, yes, Captain, I will do that. Do you think it'd be necessary to ensure we maintain equity?
Well, of course I do.
All right, so I took the liberty to grab our equity chests. Would you like us to open them now?
No, Pirate Chris, slow down. I see we have some new recruits and we'll need to make them ship shape before we get started and move ahead.
Aye, Captain.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Running a Tight Shipwreck, Strategies for Deploying Equitable Lifevests in Your Virtual Classroom. Let me change the slide, or Chris is gonna do it. My name is Elena, Captain Maroon Hernandez.
And I am Christopher, Horrible Swashbuckler McClung.
Welcome.
So for our map today, we are going to cover what is equity, and then we are going to open up our equity life vests 1, 2, and 3 as we get through them. And as we do this, we want to let you know that we will have a Bitmoji for these slides, not Bitmoji, a Bitly for these slides at the end of the presentation. So therefore, right now, no need to take notes, no need to feel the stress of doing an assignment right now. Sit back, relax, and go on the adventure with us.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go.
All right, so the first thing we want to do is know who our new recruits are. So here we have names, your first name and your last name. And what we need you to do is, based on your name, put your Piratey name into the chat room so we know who is on this journey with us.
Right.
So if your name is April, let's say Smith, I was looking for the S.
Oh.
Then your Piratey name would be Stinky Battle.
There you go.
That would be an interesting battle.
So do we have any interesting names in chat? Selena Castro. What is your Piratey name?
She be a horrible treasure.
Megan Lawhorn.
And Megan Longhorn? Lawhorn. Then she is Dirty Grub. Very cool. Very cool. Thank you guys for playing along.
Absolutely. So that's your Piratey name for the duration of this trip.
So we have a riddle to get us started, because what good presentation doesn't start with some kind of joke or riddle? So what type of grades do pirates get? Who wants to take a gander at this? All right, well, we'll tell you. Pirates get high C's.
Yay!
You are more than welcome to beg, borrow, and steal this.
That's
Go
right.
for it.
And it wouldn't be the same without a dad joke in there.
Right.
All right. So first, what we'd like you to do is we want to hear from you before we get into this. What exactly is equity to you? So if you could please put into chat your definition of what equity is and why you think it is important for us to have. And we'll just take a couple minutes and let you fill that in. What is equity?
And maybe we can share a couple.
Yeah.
Giving each student what they need to succeed.
Okay.
Giving each student what they need to succeed. Very good.
Excellent. Yeah, that's definitely equity. Anyone else?
Meeting the needs, a need of individuals. Meeting the need of individuals.
Meeting the need of individuals. Someone also typed in. That's great.
Very good.
Equal outcomes on success.
Very cool. Equal outcomes on success. That's a great one.
All right. Well, thank you guys for sharing. Just something to keep in mind as we take you on this little Piratey venture is keeping equity as your lens today. That's going to be our focus. So just keep remembering that and everything that we're going to tell you right now.
Absolutely. And one of the most important things I forgot to tell you is we do have our wonderful crew member here, Kathy. She is monitoring the chat for us. So any questions you have, please feel free to type them in and she will help us answer those, but also bring those to us at the end of the presentation. So the reason why we are doing this Webisode Wednesday for the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools. And one of the things we wanted to look at was exactly what is our demographics here in this county. And so on this slide, we found, according to the SBCSS Open Data Portal, last year, 2019-2020, we had roughly 407,000 students enrolled into our county's education. Of those 407,000, we see that 72.7 of them are classified as socioeconomically disadvantaged. So therefore, we are doing this training because we wanted to kind of put those numbers in perspective of what we're doing and why we need to create equity and why we need to have available content for everyone. And hopefully we give you some outstanding tools that you can use virtually and in person for the duration of this training.
And we've done a lot of links throughout the presentation. So you'll see that when we give you the bit.ly at the end, that you can have our links and see where our references and things like that. So most of what we're talking today comes from this article from USC called 7 Effective Ways to Promote Equity in the Classroom. We have linked it here. We have taken these strategies, and by no means, Chris and I are not the experts in this, but we have taken these strategies, and this is what has worked for either us personally in the classroom or our CRI-ROT teachers here. So we just wanted to give some credit to this particular article, and you guys can read it in full here. But this is where most of our information is coming from today. So with that, we're going to get started.
Equity Life Vest number 1. All right.
Chris, where is our Equity Life Vest number 1?
Oh, hold on. It's so heavy. Let me open it up. Oh.
And what is that?
It says, be dynamic with classroom space.
So be dynamic with classroom space. We've all been stuck in this virtual learning situation for a long time. And so we want to talk a little bit about varying your classroom activities and how you can use your classroom space in an equitable fashion. And so the first thing is group work. We're going to look at these bullets, but the first one being group work. So breakout rooms. And I know you guys are using breakout rooms. You might be getting tired of them, but there are some really simple things that you can do to make sure that they are equitable break rooms amongst your students. So find the right group size. 2 is great. If you can do that many great break rooms, but anywhere between 2 and 5 is great. Once you get to 10, not everybody gets equal voice. So if you can keep it in the 5 and 6 range, that is what the article says is a good group size. Assign each group a different task. And that's good for when you guys come back to the main room, then everybody is talking about something different. Instead of each group presenting the same information, assign each group a different task. That way the information varies. And then something I also want to point out is something called a PowerPoint party. I don't know if anybody has heard of that, but this was given to me by an actual college student who said, yeah, we have these PowerPoint parties in our classrooms. And what we do is it's virtually. They put them into breakout rooms and they say, do a PowerPoint presentation or a slideshow on anything. You have 5 minutes to put it together. It can be on any topic that you want. You report back to the main room, and it's really fun because they've had no time to think about it. And that's truly when students kind of do their best work, is they're forced to interact, but then they're just putting things together that they didn't have to think about. So I liked that PowerPoint party. So please try it. And we're definitely going to try it here. And then encourage the use of personalized learning strategies. And so one of the most exciting things that we found was something called choice doors. And I want to bring it up and I want to show it to you guys here. I have to find it. No, that's not what I want. Did I go too far? I always go too far. Here we go. So these are choice rooms. Something I did not make up. This came from this article. This is a high school teacher who decided to make break room choice doors. And the students, and maybe some of you have used something similar, but students can choose what room do they want to go into based on what they need. So do they need teacher help? Do they need to be in an open group? Do they just want quiet and they can go into a quiet room? Do they want a quiet group? They can go in with 2 or 3 other people and they all just want to be quiet. And what's really neat about this, I think with here, when we're talking about equity and ensuring that our strategies are for everybody, I like when she said honoring differences and personalizing instruction. So you're truly honoring the differences and the educational differences of your students. So this is one that I liked a lot and hope that our teachers would be using this as well. So back to our slide here, paired work. So when you're talking about meeting with just putting students into groups, just maybe 2 people, and you want to share, or you want to make sure it's equitable, I found this word generator, also given to me by a college student, so I can take no credit for this. If you've seen this, great. I had not seen this. So here, all you do, there's the word catalog on the screen. So if I were just to click this button, generate random word, and brother, Chris and I are in a group. On the count of 3, Chris, we're going to say the first thing that comes to our mind in terms of brother. 1, 2, 3, boy.
James.
James must be your brother. All right. Okay. And so you can keep going and creating these random words. I think this is just, when I say low level, I don't mean it's low level in what they're trying to do, but it kind of breaks the ice, and they're not breaking the ice with 15 different people in the room. It's just one other person. And so this is a really fun thing to do. So try it, and I think it would be a nice activity.
Sure.
We played this yesterday. It was really funny just to kind of get it rolling. So, okay. And then what do we have for individual work? So I wanted to show you these 2 things for individual work when we talk about equity. One is the balloon game, and the other is use of polls. And I'll go to use of polls first. If you guys are using Poll Everywhere, which is a really popular polling, what do you want to say, website? This is from an article from John Spencer. And he talks about polls being very friendly. I gotta find it here. This is a safe place, right? Use of polls. All right. So some video conference platforms include a built-in poll, but you could use polls for instant feedback and can help with reviewing information, gathering opinions. And what I like here, he says, it's a low stakes icebreaker. And I even like the fact that he says that he's an introvert. So think about your students who don't like to speak up. This is very low stakes icebreakers. And instead of breaking the ice all at once, I like when he said, I'd rather it melt slowly over days or weeks. So think about using polls as a way to get your introverts, to come out of their shell a little bit without doing anything that's kind of earth shattering. So I really liked that language when he used it in the article. So think about using polls. And then my last one for individual work is something called the balloon game. And I just found this from, believe it or not, a college student. Again, you can tell I've got college students in my house, but I was asking her, what do you guys do in your classroom? How do you get to know each other? How do you bring those that are shy in your classroom? What do you do? And so this is called the balloon game, where you're going to click on the envelope and you're going to write what your stress or worry is. And right now, I think that all of us, students, teachers, we all have different stresses and worries right now, especially being in this pandemic. And so you type this little note on this envelope and it's, I'm very overwhelmed. And then you go to the balloon pump and you pump it 7 times and then attach it to the letter and you just literally watch it float away. And I'm waiting for it to load and it's just not loading. And I think it's one of those low level stakes. Here we go, we're gonna play. So the envelope pops up. It's loading. He's typing, but it's loading. pretend and see what happens. So we'll pretend that he put something on there. He's going to pump 7 times. Don't pump it too much, it'll pop. And attach it to the letter. And it just floats away. So imagine talking about equity instead of your students verbally telling you what their stresses are, which is also a good thing, but they may not want to. And so we provide equity by just doing this. And yes, they're on a computer, and yes, it's another website to have to go to. But when I found that as an adult, I thought, oh, this would be great for teachers too. So think about in your next PD, just, we don't need to know out loud what you guys are stressing over. Put it on the envelope, put it in the balloon, and let it float away. So I was really excited. I could see this in all classes, our mental health classes, any class this is how we're going to start our day. So great things. Oh, sorry. So get students to move. What can you do in your classroom that would get your students up and away from their computer? And the best example I can give you with this is I was in a classroom, a virtual classroom a couple weeks ago. I was watching one of our medical teachers, and she just all of a sudden said, okay, you guys, I'm going to give you 30 seconds. You get up, you find something in your house that someone could be allergic to. And I was like, oh my goodness, that is a perfect example of getting students up. And so they literally, are you allergic to a mop?
I'm allergic to cleaning.
Well, yeah, that's what your wife said too before this got started.
That's
so
right.
Anyways, get students to move. And the students came back and someone had, some prescription medicine, someone had a food. There were so many different things, but it was really a cool visual and it got students up. And I think that promoted equity because everybody could grab something in their house. And it was great. I liked it. And then lastly, for me here on our first LifeVest is incorporating silence. Can I click on that? And back to John Spencer. So he talks about being equitable when you incorporate silence. And I don't know about you guys, but it's really, really hard for teachers to wait. We always want answers. When we ask a question, it's hard for us to wait as teachers because we just want to move on. And so learning how to incorporate silence in your classroom is so important. And he suggests maybe adding a timer to mute all participants and to create the silence necessary for students to process the information. And I like this line, this benefits introverts who need personal think time to make sense out of ideas. And this can also help your English language learners to process the language at their own pace. So think about how you can incorporate just being quiet in your classroom. And what a nice idea that is, because we all process information differently. So really looking at this through the equity lens, I think incorporating silence is something that would be so easy to do in your virtual classroom. And with that, Mr. Pirate Chris, do we have equitable or equity LifeVest number 2?
Yes, this one's so heavy. Hold on.
What is that?
This one says reduce race and gender barriers to learning.
Okay, I like the ducky.
Quack, quack.
So when we talk about reducing race and gender barriers to learning, we have to look at diversifying our curriculum. So I have a couple examples for you, and I want to ask you, do you show or discuss role models of people of color and or other cultures in your classroom? Think about the lessons that you're teaching and what faces you could put in there to say, look, this person does this person does that. Does your curriculum talk about the history of people of color and other cultures? And I want to give you a really quick example that you can do in your classroom. Oh, Christopher. There we go. I think so. There we go. So I have a picture of this woman. Does anybody know who this woman is? Either unmute or type in chat really quickly. If not, that's okay, because I didn't know until I saw her on the news, but she's been on the news lately. Anybody know?
Or what does it look like she does?
Or what does it look like she does? That's a better question. Thank you. So this is General Jacqueline D. Van Ovost. She is the military's highest ranking female officer. And I never knew a thing about her until I was watching the Today Show, and we just celebrated International Women's Day, and they featured her as one of their, great people or great women. But anyway, she is a commander. She's Air Mobility Command at Scott Force Air Force Base in Illinois. She has commanded an air refueling squadron, flying training wings, and she's responsible for the Presidential Airlift Wing. Looking at her, I didn't know who she could have been a grandmother or anything, but she has this very, very, very important job. And I'm just thinking, if we can show students pictures of what they can be. And I like her quote, and I put it at the top. It's hard to be what you can't see. So I challenge you out there. Are you showing pictures and discussing role models of anybody? It doesn't have to just be women. It could be men, people of color. But I really liked her quote, hard to be what you can't see. But if we are talking to our students about who they can be, and look, I'll show you that you can be this. Mm-hmm. This is a great example. I have one more for you guys.
Yeah, talk about the uniforms.
The uniforms, that's right. All right, this is another example of somebody. Could be anybody.
What does she do?
What does she do for a living? I don't know. I don't know. Any thoughts? Nope. This is Macy Jemison. She is an engineer, physician, and former NASA astronaut. She is the first Black woman to travel into space, and she did that through the Space Shuttle Endeavour. She is, I just think that she's phenomenal. And when I found this of her, I really thought this is a great example of what people could be, of what our students could be. She's also been inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame and the International Space Hall of Fame. And so I think that this would be a really great example of something that would be easy for you guys to do and talk about, or how you can integrate pictures of role models into your curriculum. So think about that. Oh, do I have one more? Oh, holding every student to high expectations. So I ask you, do you challenge all of your students? Think about that for a second. How in your curriculum are you challenging your students? Do you make sure that your students are aware that they are capable of so much more? Not just you passed the exam, you got a great grade on the project, but how are you encouraging them and giving them a feeling that, yes, I can do so much more. I can be the astronaut. I can be the highest ranking female in the military. Are you giving them those opportunities? But are you verbally saying to them those things to your teachers? I think that or to your students. I think that's really, really important for us teachers to do. Oh, this is our infographic. We've not our infographic. This is also from the USC article. I thought that this was really important when we're talking about reducing those barriers, especially with gender inequities. This is a great infographic to share, and please share it with teachers and if you're doing some sort of PD. But there are some startling statistics here. So especially at school, when you look at this side of the infographic, girls often receive less attention from their teachers. Girls, because they're girls, they receive less attention. That was so startling. Girls hear more comments about their appearance than about their academic skills. So that is not equitable. We know that. And then I won't go over all of them, but one here that's extremely startling to me is the bottom one, where it says, if there's only one woman in your candidate pool, there's statistically no chance that she'll get the job. Gosh, imagine all the students, all the female students that we teach today, and that is already, what they're going to be coming into. It's like we need to change that. So as teachers, what are we doing to change that and to look through a different equity lens? We've linked the article at the bottom there for you guys, so you can pull that up at your leisure.
So the last bullet on this LifeVest we want to share with you is avoiding assumptions about student backgrounds. And what the article points out is that students may not share similar life experiences. They're all different. They all come from their own backgrounds. They're all unique. Don't assume there's a blanket stereotype for all of them. And then the last one is undefined gender different identities. So again, just not assuming something about somebody. We used to have a female auto teacher here, and nobody would have suspected she was our auto teacher. And so that was wonderful. And so what I wanted to share with you was a short story about my first year of teaching and how I did not do a great job of that particular bullet point. I had a student, we'll say his name is Robert. He came in, talked very slowly, really just kind of, when I asked him a question, kind of took his time answering that question, wore pretty much jeans, black t-shirt, black hat, and then just took his time getting back to me. If I asked him a question, he just kind of went about it. If I asked him to do something, he kind of just waited till he did it. And I'm like, man, this student really is not interested in my class, really is not interested in what I have to give him. I'm just going to kind of write him off as just, you know, not anybody who's worth my time. Again, it's about my second week of teaching. Then I received an IEP. Really didn't know what an IEP was back then, but received an IEP for this student. And what I had found out was this student actually had a brain injury from when he was very young, about 5 years old. And because of that, his processing was delayed. Therefore, when I asked him a question, it took some time for him to answer. And once I knew that about him, number one, I slapped my hand. Number two, my wife slapped my hand. But then I changed my way in how I needed to teach that student. So when I asked him a question, I gave him time to respond, and I really didn't do a great job of I did a bad job, and I assumed something about his background, which was not true. So you want to make sure you don't do that. Then at the very bottom here, I'm kind of waiting for a thing to go down. There is this thing that I have done myself in my own education, but also we've utilized in some of our classes, which is called a personal bias test. And now all of us have a personal bias, believe it or not. I happen to think Star Wars is a phenomenal movie. Captain Elena happens to think Legally Blonde is far better.
Yes.
But we have our biases. So what this test does is it's something you take and then it just kind of asks you questions and you kind of just choose which one you prefer over the other. And in the end, it'll ask you, or it'll show you like you have a bias towards this over this. And it's just really eye-opening, and I really encourage you to do that. And if anything, it just helps you so that you are aware of just what your biases are and how you kind of need to change your perspective with how you might be viewing certain people based on that. So that is LifeVest number 2.
LifeVest number 3. What do we have? Our final LifeVest, you guys.
Oh, my back hurts.
What do we have? How are we going to save this ship, Pirate Chris?
It says, accommodate learning styles and disabilities.
So how do we do that looking through with an equitable lens?
So we can see a picture below. There's a lot of variety in students. There's a lot of variety in learning styles. And so we're going to kind of go through that and some tools that we have for that. So number one way you can start doing that is by variance. Think about the different styles of learning your students have. Are they more of a visual learner? Are they more oral? Are they more verbal? Me, I was more of a visual learner. It helped me to, and even now, it helps me to see something when I'm working. Using a variety of media. Think back to your education. Think back to your teaching. Do you prefer one way of delivery over another? Are you somebody who refers to your textbooks over and over? Or are you somebody who keeps going to videos and you want to show video after video after video? Are you altering your learning styles in your delivery of content for that? Including transcripts for multimedia materials. In just a minute, I'm going to show you how you can add what are those
Captions.
things? Captions to your own videos. Providing supplemental stuff, dictionaries, glossaries. Believe it or not, we have an encyclopedia in our home, and our children do this crazy thing of when they ask me a question, I say, I don't know. Go look it up in the encyclopedia. And they grab it, and then there's this thing in there called paper that they sift through. It's amazing. Yeah. So it's a supplemental way for them to learn what it is that they have questions about. And then making technology accessible. We've really worked hard this year to make technology accessible for our students. And then for presentations, use dyslexia-friendly fonts and stuff. And I'm going to show you in a minute how you can kind of test yourself for that. And then lastly, read instructions out loud. A lot of times as teachers, we might be giving a test and we might read the directions to them, but do we actually slow down and take the time of reading the question to them and just allowing them to answer. So those are some ways you can help to accommodate those learning styles. So now let me share some tools with you, another example of what this looks like. And I got this from a medical teacher, something that she does. If she has students in her class and she's teaching them something that has to do with the medical, she will write it on a board or she'll give it to them, but she'll also give it to them in different colors. She doesn't just use one color when she's writing or use one color font when she's showing them this. She also provides them a way to where they can hear what that medical term is. As you can see on the bottom left there, there'd be like a speaker, they'd be able to click on it and actually hear the word. And also the picture of the person with having the stomach ache. That shows you like a visual representation. This is what that word means. And then lastly, she provides different ways of how that word can be demonstrated. They can make a video, they can create a presentation, draw, explain it in writing, multiple ways to demonstrate they understand that word.
You want to tell them about the colors?
Yes. So the colors just really help them to differentiate like what they're seeing. And so instead of it being in all black or all white or all red and all blue, if you differentiate the colors, it kind of helps them to understand that there's some differences that they need to see instead of seeing a barrage of like it's all just one thing. Awesome. So here are some tools I wanted to share with you that help with accessibility, and we call them accessibility treasures. And so the first one I will share is open access. Raise your hand if you've heard or have used open access before. So sadly, because of where we're at, I actually can't even see you guys. So you're raising your hands.
I saw Laurel's hand.
And I see like a hand.
Yeah.
But if everybody else is raising your hand, thank you for raising your hand. So what open access is this allows you to look up tools that might be available for this specific thing. So I'll go to reading and literacy. And you can see I'm looking for, and then here are different tools that you can use. Let's say I'm looking for a no and low technology solution for reading. Great, click on that. And here are some ideas of things you can use for that. You can highlight, you can do boards, have page holders, and these are some tools, some low tech tools to really help with students reading. It's a great tool. So the next one I'm going to share with you is the NoCoffee filter. And this is a Google extension. And if you guys use Google extensions, there's thousands of them out there. And what this one does is this one really helps you with being able to view websites with somebody that might have a specific disability. So if I were to click on this link, when we give this to you at the end, it'll take you directly to where you can, it says remove from Chrome because I already have it. But if for you, it would say add to Chrome and you just click on it, it's completely free. But let me give you an example of what this looks like. Let's go to one of the most dangerous websites in the world for us, because we all love Target.
Yeah.
And let's say I'm at Target, but let's say I'm dealing with some sort of disability, or I'm a teacher, I want to see like, what does this look like? I turned on my NoCoffee vision simulator. And so I can actually use this to really see like, what does it look like? What does this page look like for somebody who has like a blur in their vision, or, you know, they are dealing with a glare. But you can even get more specific than that. Let's say I want to see, what does this page look like for somebody that has macular degeneration? So click on that. I can see, oh, that's what it looks like for them. How about glaucoma? Oh, that's what this looks like for them. Or somebody that has retinal detachment. So as you can see, as I am starting to build content or I'm starting to create things, I can use this Google extension to really get a chance to see what this might look like if I have a student who's dealing with this specific thing, diabetic retinopathy. There you go, and float. So reset all. All right, so that is the NoCoffee filter. Again, just a really cool tool for you to double check what it is you are posting for your students to see. Next one I want to share with you is SpeechNotes. This is one of my favorites. SpeechNotes, let's say you have a student that is really struggling with typing out what it is they want to say. Well, what this does is you click this little microphone here, and it literally will just capture what you're saying and put it into text. So, Captain Elena.
Yes, Pirate Chris.
I really want you to know that Star Wars, by far, is the greatest movie ever.
Pirate Chris, I want you to know that Star Wars is not the greatest movie ever and that it's Legally Blonde.
That hurts my heart. It is catching up. And I'll turn the microphone off. And I did not say microwave, I said microphone. All right, let me turn it off. So, and believe it or not, I've used this myself. Sometimes I have to write papers for my classes, and sometimes I just can't like get it from my brain to my fingers and my typing. So I've used this to just talk about what I want to say. And I'll say, well, I want to say this and that, and then I can just copy it and paste it into some sort of Word doc and then start cleaning it up. So it's even helped me when I have those brain fog issues going on. I can just talk about what I want to say first, and then it puts it into text for me. It does a great job of doing that. And the last one I want to share with you, Speechify. Again, this is a great tool for students. I use it myself. And what it does is you can download it and it'll basically read any text or anything that you've got. I have it on my phone, and I can even use it to scan a book, and it'll read to me. Sometimes the transfer is a little bit wonky, but it does a pretty decent job of reading to me what that book says. And then it's just a great screen reader. There's different voices, there's different dialects that you can use with it. And again, if you're somebody who really struggles with the reading part of it, it's easier for you to hear it because you're an oral learner like myself as well. Listening to it really helps. So.
Is there a free?
Yes, there is. You could do a free version, and then the paid version has the different dialects, and I think you get a certain amount of words for those premium voices that there are. So it's pretty cool, and the voices sound like realistic to me. The premium ones sound realistic. I'm like, wow, it sounds like my neighbor. So moving on. So we want to kind of wrap up this vest with some resource treasures. So we did a training about UDL versus differentiation. And if you were to click on this here, it'll give you all of our slides, which also has some of these tools included into it. Let's pause that. So it actually took us to our YouTube video. And in here, you can see where we did this training. Everything's timestamped. So if you're looking for something specific, like differentiating an introduction, different accessibility tools, that video is there. But what we do with these videos is we also link all of the slide presentations to it. So just click on the link. It'll take you right to our presentation slides. And all you have to do is just copy and paste it. If you're looking for information or content, you can just download it, use it for yourself, manipulate it, however you need to. And then the last one we do, here, we have this playlist, this how-to playlist. And here we've shown how to use different technology tools. And this one specifically, we have shared how to do closed captioning on YouTube videos. Now, YouTube does a great job. It'll actually automatically close caption a lot of videos that you upload. But if you want to get in and dive in and actually do some closed captioning yourself, this video right here will show you how to do that specifically. And it's, again, a great tool for sharing that with or for creating that for your students. So. All right, so now we're coming to the end, believe it or not. Time flies. And so as we said, we are also part of CTE Teach. CTE Teach, we have a lot of our own media. We are on Twitter at CTE_Teach, and then we have videos and podcasts and all sorts of stuff on our channels on YouTube at CTE Teach. But ultimately, kind of let me put my little commercial. What CTE Teach is we provide training and grant funds for LEAs to gain career technical education mentor training, right?
That's right. We train teachers to be mentors and to mentor CTE teachers.
That's right. So in May, we're going to come out with an application for that. If you know any districts that need mentor teachers for their career technical education teachers, we will help pay for those teachers to be grown. We will give them professional development. And our goal is to really help train those mentors and those trainers. That's that. And if you want to be on our podcast, you can scan that little QR code down there. I almost forgot about that. We do a monthly podcast. Yesterday, we recorded one that's all about the culinary industry. We had chefs who are both educators and people who are working in the industry. We just really do have a lot of fun talking about all things that are career technical education related. All right.
So this is the bit.ly to access our presentation today. We wanted to wait until the end to give it to you, but all of our slides are there. Everything that we do here at CRIROP is always free. We do not, all of our stuff is public and free, so you are more than willing to take this presentation and make it, tweak it, do whatever you need, and that's about it. Is that it, Pirate Chris, or what else? Let's see. What do we have here? Oh, that's right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Chris and I have been working together for a very, very long time. Today is our fourth iteration of something to do with Pirate. And so we started way back when with Teach Like a Pirate based on the book by Dave Burgess. And that kind of just morphed into lots of things. So we've done Teach and Tech Like a Pirate. We have done Play Like a Pirate. We are now doing I Run a Tight Shipwreck. So we've given all of our slides to you guys here. In these slides are just great strategies for student engagement, simple things, little things. And I implore you to look at them and to beg, borrow, and steal, which is my motto in teaching. If someone else has done it, don't do it over. Just take our stuff or take their stuff. So
yeah, Captain Elena.
What, Chris?
Great news. I found a model ship and I think we can replicate it and get ourselves back home.
And what would that be?
What say ye?
What a piece of junk.
Arr!
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are done and we thank you. Our contact information is here. Please do not hesitate to reach out. We hope that you have found some of this information valuable and that you can take back and give to your teachers or use within your own classroom. And we are always available for help and whatever you guys need. So if there are any questions, I think we have a few minutes for questions. Yeah. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. That was so awesome.